Hello, and welcome to the second episode of GEEKAMANIA. I'm your first host, Ben, and here is your second host, Mark.
Welcome to another episode.
Alright then, first thing on the agenda, what is it today? Yes, we are going to talk about gaming soundtracks and our favourite ones. Do you want to start us off, Mark?
Yeah, it's cool, man. And the thing about this soundtrack is it's one game per franchise, so we can't just use the same franchise game like 5 times that we couldn't use Legend of Zelda. So five, okay. So the first game of mine is at number five, which is Grand Theft Auto Vice City. The reason I've chosen this game is just because I just think the soundtrack is just amazing. I love the fact how we can go into any kind and you have all these different genres of music. And my favorite probably radio channel I love listening to is probably Emotion, just because the music and on that is just
It's a
so
lot of
good.
80s music, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
that's why I love it, because I love 80s music, and the setting is so good, which the music adds so much more to the setting that it just makes it even better.
Grand Theft Auto has always been good for those radio stations.
Totally.
Yeah, well, my number five would be the first DJ Hero game. Yeah, and the good thing about the DJ Hero soundtrack is all the individual songs stand up by themselves. So you've got, classic songs like We Will Rock You and Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger by Daft Punk. And the interesting thing about the soundtrack is it's all mashups and all proper mixes. So you've got some great songs in there and
That's
great
cool.
song combinations, like Dizzy Rascal, who I don't normally listen to, but when teamed up with Justice, sounds really amazing. Yeah, so that's my
That's
number
cool,
five.
man. My number four would probably be A Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. The soundtrack to this game is amazing. Nintendo are known for just making just fantastic gaming soundtracks, and you've got the Overworld, for example, the boss theme tune, the castle theme, three of the greatest songs ever made, and which I even still use to this day.
Yeah, I mean, well, if we didn't impose that one franchise per rule, half of my list would probably be Zelda games.
Yeah.
So my number four would be the first Ratchet and Clank. Mainly a personal one for me because this was the first like big platformer that I really enjoyed. So a lot of themes like Metropolis level theme are really just ingrained into my head. Just so yeah, is this a bit of a nostalgia trip just listening to those soundtracks for me?
That's the same with me for my number third pick, would be Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Just the soundtrack to that game is just so good. Yes, I know you've got number two and three, which people prefer, but I always love number one. Like, you've got the most iconic song in Sega history, probably Green Hill Zone. You've also got the Marble Zone, Spring Yard Zone, Labyrinth Zone, Scrap Brain Zone. The songs for that game are just so good that I actually have them on my iPhone. I love that soundtrack so much. The songs to that game is just so good. What do you think about them, Ben?
Personally, I prefer Sonic 2, mainly for Chemical Plant Zone. I love that song.
Yeah, that's the song that I love the most from Sonic 2. Is probably that song.
Yeah. And plus, that's the level I always got to because I was terrible at Sonic games. So I got to level 2, but past that, I kind of
And the
failed.
fact they put it in Sonic Generations as well was even cooler. That they put the best song from Sonic 2 in that game, which is really cool as
That's
well.
probably
So
the only reason they included it as a level, because as a level, it's kind of interesting, but the song is the best bit about it.
yeah, the song is amazing.
So yeah, for my Zelda song, because it's a top five soundtrack, so a Zelda theme has to be in there. I'm going with Majora's Mask, but that's mainly because, whilst individually I don't think the songs are quite as strong as say Ocarina of Time, the way it lends itself to the actual game and creates that dark, morbid atmosphere, for which is kind of surprising for Zelda, which is traditionally seen as a child's game.
Yeah, totally.
It really brought it out and really helped that whole cohesive theme.
My second favorite probably gaming soundtrack would probably Mario Galaxy 2, just because I love the fact how they're able to use old music and add in new music and make all the music work in the same sense. Even though they use the classic Mario theme tune, it works well with the game. It's not like they've just added in just like, here you go. They've added a bit of nostalgia and a bit of newness, so people who've played it many years before will know the theme tunes, and people who've never played it before will hopefully love the theme tune as much as the nostalgia people do, and also they got new themes to listen to as well.
Yeah, I mean the thing I liked about that soundtrack personally was just the way they blended like the 8-bit soundtrack and music composition with like the sweeping classical,
Yes.
music that they had in there, because it was really uplifting and
It was, and
soaring
they
and
also made
thingy
it all
too.
orchestra as well, which even
Yeah.
sounded better. They had the Mario theme tune, as you said, from 8-bit to basically orchestra, which was just amazing.
Yeah. Okay, and my second one, again a bit of a nostalgia one, but Pokemon Red and Blue. But that's
Yeah,
mainly just because the songs are so very, very memorable.
they are.
And in a game where there's no, it's a Game Boy game, so there's no sound, no dialogue, no like dialogue,
Yeah.
sound wise. But so pretty much all of the storytelling and all of the atmosphere is going to be told half through sound.
Mm.
So they told the atmosphere of each town and each situation through the music.
Yeah, totally. Like, if you're in a mart from the music, if you're in a poker centre from the music, and
Yeah, I mean
gyms
you
and that
could
sort of
probably
thing.
quite happily play a Pokemon game blind and still know
Yes.
roughly where you
Yes, you
are.
would, totally.
It's like I will know instantly if I'm in Lavender Town just from the spooky, eerie ghost music that happens in the background. So yeah, that's easily my choice.
Nice. My number one would probably be Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I would have used Street Fighter 2, but because since Turbo and Super Street Fighter they added in one of my favourite characters, Cammy, and I love Ryu obviously because of Street Fighter. The music in that game was just so iconic that everyone knows the music, and as they say, Girls Theme goes with everything.
Doesn't mean it's good, it just means it's good for it. But yeah, I do like
Yeah.
Kyle's theme.
My
My
favourite
top
theme is probably
choice.
Ryu's though. So
Ryan's theme's good. I still prefer Kyle's theme, but that's only because it's ridiculously catchy.
it is ridiculously catchy.
So my number one, probably a lesser known game, is Persona 4, which is a Japanese RPG. And I actually have the soundtrack to this on my phone. That's just how interesting. But it's not like just J-pop like most JRPGs are of that kind of era, but it's very, very catchy music. And again, it's one of those games where the music is designed to help the actual
Mm.
ambience of the levels. And a lot of the time, it's really, really spooky. That game can be really messed up at times. But that's why it's a 16 here in the UK. Although it's one of those soft 16s, that doesn't mean they have to enforce it with ID and stuff. But yeah, it's really haunting music and really catchy, good music as well. Yeah. So I think that's about it for our top. Well, I guess top 10 roughly between us.
Indeed.
Soundtracks.
Now we're going to be talking about 3 hour from July, I believe the 13th or 23rd. Raw is going to be going 3 hours, and now we're going to discuss our opinions about it. Ben, we'll start with you.
So the WWE and all of their infinite wisdom, not being sarcastic at all, have decided that for the foreseeable future, after whatever date is it, mid-July or something, they're going to make Raw a 3 hour show, which is incredibly stupid. Because they've done a lot of 3 hour shows beforehand.
Which have been quite dire, except the best one I think they did 3 hours would probably be the Back to the Past when it went back to the
that was quite
90s, like when it actually had the WWF logo and that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're kind of like half-assed pay-per-views in a way, aren't they?
Yes, totally.
I mean, the only time I saw it like kind of working was the draft.
Yes.
It kind of made sense when they were doing the draft because you want to kind of stretch that out because important things, even though the actual show was terrible.
Yes.
It made sense for it. But the thing with making every single show a 3 hour show is it's just going to drag so much. I mean, the past Raw that we just watched a couple of minutes ago, that was dragging enough as it was, and that was an hour and a half.
Yes,
I mean,
for 2 hours, yeah, of course.
I can't imagine having another hour and a half for that show because there'd be nothing to fill it with unless they're really going to try pushing like low card people.
Or maybe they could bring in the cruiserweight division to talk about bringing in, like, what they're going to do. Are they going to do like another WCW night show? And if it means that if they go back to 2 hours, does it mean the 3 hours have failed? And
yeah, I mean, the only way I ever saw this happening, them turning into a 3 hour show, was if they like collapsed SmackDown and like pushed it all together with Raw.
Or maybe they could potentially get rid of the draft altogether. I know technically it's a super show.
Well, they have gotten rid of the draft. The draft usually happens right after Mania, and we haven't had it.
So I mean, in the sense where they have like two sets of wrestlers, could they potentially not in a way get rid of SmackDown, but then have everyone on both shows like they used to in the
That's pretty much
days.
what they're doing now anyway with these whole super shows. I mean, we've got CM Punk turning up on SmackDown loads. It's not just SmackDown stars turning up on Raw. It's now Raw stars turning up on SmackDown as well.
Yeah.
So, and the whole thing with Laurinaitis being manager for both, they're really merging the gaps.
Yeah, like
So
they used to when they first did the draft. It was all completely different.
yeah,
Now they're kind of like all
yeah. I
brewing
mean,
together.
it was
So
rare for like two superstars on different shows to fight each
yeah,
other. I
that's what
mean,
they
even
used to
in
do.
pay-per-views, it was rare.
That's why they used to have it at WrestleMania. It used to be one of their big main matches. Was like, oh my god, it's a SmackDown star versus a Raw star,
Mm.
which is insane. Now it's like a bit,
Now it's completely
yeah.
blasé because SmackDown isn't doing as much as they like. But yeah, whether this is an indication of them unifying the championships and then collapsing SmackDown, or maybe just like downgrading it to like the mid card, low card fest it is at the
Or
moment.
they could do percents that they used to do WCW. Maybe do the first hour cruiserweight matches and the second and third hour the usual show.
Yeah, no, it's possible, but I really don't see where they're coming from
But
with
then in a
this.
sense though, the hour they spend using at Raw taping superstars, maybe they might get rid of superstars altogether now, or maybe just
That's
have it for
possible.
SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, logistics wise for them, it's probably no problem. I'm just saying for entertainment wise, I don't see why they would bore us like this because it's a lot to go sit through as is an hour and a half of wrestling
Yeah,
every Monday, but three
think about
hours.
it this way: in wrestling altogether, it's probably about 10 hours worth a week.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you got 2 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, hour of Superstars, hour of NXT, 2 hours TNA Impact Wrestling, and then maybe an hour of Vintage Wrestling if you ever watched that.
Mm.
So that's quite a lot of wrestling time, especially now doing it to 3 hours. Gonna be like overload of wrestling. Overload.
Yeah. Kind of good in a way for if you're really really bored one day and just want to sit down and watch wrestling, but at the same time it's oversaturation.
Hmm.
Yeah, but other than that, Raw we just watched. As I said, it was pretty dull.
It was
It
pretty dull.
Yeah, I mean the most interesting thing was easily the Bryan versus Punk match.
Yes.
You are obviously still putting on great shows.
Because those two are the two best wrestlers in the entire world. Yes, yes, Elliot, I do use best in the world a lot, but they are better in the world.
But yeah, the only other thing I found slightly interesting was like a very short, like 5 seconds of Dolph Ziggler saying, "I want to be a solo guy," which I applaud because it's
Yes.
about time he finally distanced himself from swagger.
And
'Cause-
maybe hopefully this is himself from Vicky Guerrero where he actually has he can generate he's got good on the mic, he does his own website show on WWE YouTube, that download thing, so
yeah, where
hopefully
he can actually stretch his promos because he does do good promos. He's got a good mic presence. They just don't seem to realize that he can actually do that.
yes,
and
and
should
he's
use
such a
that.
good wrestler as well, he can bump like no one else can bump.
Yeah,
He makes a headbutt look like he got shot, for example. He's just such a good bumper. It's like why isn't upper card main event is insane. Someone else who hopefully should be moving up with after his feud with Christian, Cody Rhodes. He should be up there main eventing soon. Hopefully, will be. Hopefully by the end of this year, he will be either WWE or World Heavyweight Champion. Hopefully.
Well, if WWE realise what talent they've got and how they should foster it instead of just nuking it to the ground like they have done so many times.
Indeed, like it to them, it's like if we don't make you, then you're not gonna be over. So
yeah, they just shoot people right up to the top and expect them to stick, and if they don't stick, they cut. They don't try and improve them. They don't try and build them up slowly or give them any. They just go right. We're going to put you right at the top, and if you don't get this amount of buzz after 1 week or 2 weeks, back down to mid card tier.
That's the thing with wrestling that's different compared to the olden days. They used to spend months and months building someone up, or even months and months building a storyline up. Now, at the most, maybe a week or two, or maybe even a month.
But no, it's just sensible story making. Is that you build up things slowly and build them to a crescendo.
Yes.
And then you can move along with that character and develop them. But instead, they're just going, okay, you go to the top, sink or swim.
Totally.
But yeah. So yeah. Again, Raw at the moment is a bit dire, but it always is a little bit dire post WrestleMania.
Yeah, post WrestleMania, post Extreme Rules. After that, because they've lost most of their big stars that WrestleMania had. They lost people like Undertaker, Triple H, Lesnar, for example, The Rock.
Yeah, they've run out of steam for a bit. So this is the time they really should be building up.
Yeah, new stars.
Yeah.
Hopefully they will be moving new stars soon. Like they've got people like, as we said, Dolph Ziggler, Cody Rhodes. They got CM Punk, who's probably one of their main stars, or probably is their second main star, but other than John Cena. You've also got Daniel Bryan, who's become really big. Brodus Clay, who's become really big now. So hopefully they can improve and maybe build up more younger stars as they have done. Hopefully, and make people like the Miz as well. For someone who won the match for Team Johnny, what's he
Well,
done now?
the problem with the Miz is that he's really fallen off the horse recently. He had a
He
few
has.
bad botches a couple of weeks in a row, and then seemingly he just lost confidence in himself. Apparently, he got really bollocked backstage from Trips and McMahon, and it just seems like he's just lost all confidence in himself, and as such has just plummeted. I mean, everything about him has gotten stale recently, and it shows. They've got no. He has no faith in himself, and the management have no faith in him.
Yeah,
So
of course.
it's a vicious cycle, and it just means that he's going to languish in mid card like he did for so long before.
Yep.
So hopefully he'll be able to dig himself out of that rut, because he is a good wrestler and his mic work's pretty damn good.
Or hopefully, because he's doing the new Marine Free, maybe they could turn him face, which then could potentially give him a completely new character. He's got a catchphrase.
Yeah, but how many people do you really see going from a WWE movie and that actually having an impact in the WWE?
Maybe any person.
There's no one.
Probably not. Nah.
There really is no one, because those
No one at
movies
all.
always flop because they're not good.
Not at all. No.
Acting in a ring and acting in front of a screen are two very different skill sets, and it takes someone special to actually work with it. I mean, you look at Dwayne Johnson, and it's just like he really did not. It took him a long time to get to where he is now.
Yeah,
But even
totally.
now, he's still doing films like Tooth Fairy and stuff. So, and Journey too. So he's by no means is he like a highly established star in the acting world.
But it could be one day. Could be.
It could be. He's got the potential to be.
He's done a lot of big films recently. He's like in the new G.I. Joe, for example. He's been in Fantastic Fast 5. Some loads of different stuff.
Yeah, even though G.I. Joe 2 has stupidly been delayed until 2013, which I don't understand, because you've built up all this marketing for it for a nice big summer of blockbuster release, and then you go, no.
It's 3D, that's why they're doing it. It's because they want to make it in 3D. Yeah. Talking of movies, Ben, have you seen any films recently, my friend?
I have seen a lot of films recently. I had a bit of a blowout. So I saw The Raid, which is a very, very, very good action film. I mean, the plot isn't anything to really shout about and scream about or rave about, but it serves the whole story well. It drives the action along well. It keeps you interested in the characters, and the action scenes are so good. I have not seen gunplay that good in the film for a long time. I have not seen martial arts that good in the film for a long time, and everything ties up so well. And it's such a simple film.
That's cool.
But yeah, so that's definitely worth a watch if it's still around in the cinema near you. It's still around in Ashford if you live around the area we live in. But yeah, other than that, I saw Moonrise Kingdom, which was also a surprisingly good film. Wasn't expecting anything major from it. Bruce Willis plays a local sheriff in that, and is very, very good. It's not the kind of performance you'd expect from Bruce Willis. It's a very
not at all.
underplayed role. He's sort of a father figure, which you see him doing more of nowadays. But it's very good and very comedic, actually.
That's cool.
Edward Norton playing a usual fairly geeky, useless guy, but also, again, very good. But yeah, surprising thing about it is it's quite risque. I mean, it's a 12A, which is, surprising enough as it is, but there is a very, it's kind of an awkwardly weird scene, and yet strangely touching, where the whole story is these two 12-year-olds fall in love and run away, and the sheriff and Edward Norton's character, the scout captain, have to go and find them and bring them back before, they hurt themselves. And there's this very weird, touching scene where they both strip to their underwear and start dancing on the beach. Yeah, it's kind of intimate, and then they kiss, and it's just it's a little bit weird. And there's also a watercoloring the color of the boy does of the girl that's nude. So you just see this weird nude. Yeah, it's a really weird film,
That was it, very
but
weird.
it's definitely worth a watch. Just make sure you don't go alone wearing a long trench coat because you might be thought of as a bit of a paedophile. You know, you don't want to have that reputation. It's not a good one. What else did I see? I saw Men in Black 3.
Is that any good?
It's all right. It's a good popcorn film, if you know what I mean. It's a
Yeah, I know
good
what you
film to
mean.
just sit around with your family and have a good time. Not really gonna have any major thinking or implications to do. But Jermaine Clement of
Hmm.
Flight of the Conchords fame um, is very, very good as the villain. It's a
That's
shame
cool.
they don't give him more screen time because he is very good as this strange alien thieving biker guy who's very
Because
weird.
you never see him much Batman trailers at all, do you?
No, you do see him, but he's so heavily made up you don't recognise him. It took me a little while to realise, wait, is that? Oh my god, the accent! Yes, it must be Jermaine Clement because he does have a bit of a New Zealand twang in his
Ah,
voice.
okay.
Um, but yeah, it's a solid film. You know, it's nowhere near as interesting as the first one was.
Nah, no,
I
no film will be as good as
nah,
the first one.
I'd probably place it a bit over the second because the second was just retreading the same path as the first one, really, and this is again pretty much still retreading the same path as the first and second one.
But it's kind of in a different sense because it's kind of gone back in the past. Maybe it's really the only
Uh,
difference, I guess, isn't it?
it's
Or
kind of just another excuse for them to go, oh, okay, Jay's a rookie in this situation and he doesn't know what he's doing because this is the past and he's not quite savvy with it.
hmm.
But it's a bit of another annoying reset in that way. But Josh Brolin is very, very good, surprisingly scary impression because that's basically what he's doing. He's doing an
Yes.
impression throughout the whole film, but he pulls it off. It's very good. But yeah, so good acting, not so great screenplay, a script or a plot at all, really. But yeah, if they'd have just spent a bit more time writing it and tried to do something different, it
Hmm.
could have been very good.
I guess it's one of those sort of films. It's the same with other films that the story might be rubbish, but the acting in it is just amazing. Like with Master of the Universe, for example. Yes, the film might have been terrible, but Frank Langella was so good as Skeletor in Street Fighter, for example. That film was quite bad, but Raul Julia was so good as M Bison. So
I haven't seen either of those films.
good film, rubbish films, but good at the same time. If you know what I mean.
I'm not a big He-Man fan, so a bit before my time.
Street Fighter, you never seen that either? With
Uh,
Raul Julia and
I
Jean Claude Van Damme.
the live action one. No, I have
Yeah.
not seen the live action one. I have heard nothing but bad things except for what you just said, which sounded fairly decent.
Raul Julia is fantastic in it. One of my favourite lines to me is he goes to Chung Li, he goes, to you it's the most important day in your life. To me it was Tuesday. It's just stuff like that was just like pure genius. It was his last ever role before he died as well. Rest in
Is
peace.
live action fighting game films. I mean, there's this one line in Mortal Kombat that always made me laugh. It's just so terribly done. It's just
What,
like
the first one?
I don't know which one it is. I just saw the clip, and it's just like, Mother, you're alive. Too bad you will die. That's your big. Is that you're trying to make a pun? I don't. But yeah, that was a terrible bit of writing, acting, just generally all round bad. What was the fourth film I saw again? Oh yeah, I saw The Dictator.
Was that
Now
any good?
that film was terrible,
Really?
really, really, really bad. I mean, the best thing about the film
Hmm?
is literally the first frame of the film.
Really?
That's the one bit that got a chuckle out of me. And it's basically a simple picture and then the words "in loving memory of Kim Jong Il."
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest laugh I got. I mean,
That's
the
quite
only
funny,
other
actually.
thing that elicited a chuckle from me was a small cameo by Edward Norton. I won't spoil it for you because if you are playing or seeing it, it is the only slightly funny thing in there, and it's literally a couple of seconds and just, huh, that's kind of funny. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, half the film I did spend just playing Pokemon on my Game Boy.
You actually took a Game Boy to the screen.
I took a game.
What, a classic brick Game Boy?
No, my Game Boy Micro. But I brought my rucksack in with me, and I always keep a Game Boy in there just in case I'm bored. And so I was just like, okay, I'm not going to walk out of this film. I'll give it a chance. But I am so bored right now. I am just going to sit here and play Pokemon and see if it will pull me back in. And like that Edward Norton cameo was like the only thing that really registered.
So you wouldn't put it up against Bruno, or not even? I'm not Bruno. Sorry, Borat. Wouldn't put against
Well,
that.
I'm not a big fan of Sacha Baron Cohen's films. I think his TV shows are quite funny
Hmm.
because his comedy works well in that environment because it's him just basically just playing jokes on people in the general public, which is funny.
Hmm.
But in this, where it's all scripted and it's all actors and you all know they're in on the joke as well, it kind of loses its luster.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I was hoping to see something from Ben Kingsley because I'm a big fan of Ben Kingsley, but nothing. I mean, he wasn't really that funny. He didn't really have that much to do. He was just a pretty damn generic villain in it. It was bad in general. I mean, the Megan Fox cameo was also terrible because Megan Fox is just about as good as acting as she is in Transformers in that she is effectively there for eye candy and nothing else.
That is true. Yes, she was just for eye candy. Totally.
Yeah, and they do kind of play up to that fact because the only reason she is there is because the dictator has bought her for sex, which is strangely appropriate and strangely poignant.
Yes.
But not sure if it's intentionally poignant because I don't think she's quite in on that. Which is
probably not
strange because that's the one big complaint I have on it is that everyone's in on the joke, and yet she might not be.
Totally.
I hope she is.
Yes.
Because hopefully she is not that stupid. But I wouldn't put it past her.
Not at all. But I wouldn't put it past her either.
So yeah, general consensus: go see The Raid for action. Go see Moonrise Kingdom for comedy and thing. And if you want to take the family to see a film, don't see Moonrise Kingdom because that will mess your kids up.
And don't see The Raid either.
The Raid's fine. There's just a bit of blood and some foreign language swearing, so your kids won't really learn anything from that. But it's fine. Take them into the 18 film. For an 18, it's not that bad.
I feel really bad. I haven't actually seen any films recently. The last film I saw recently at the cinema was probably American Pie.
Well, I have zero interest in any of the American Pie films, so I didn't even bother going to see that.
It wasn't like the best film I've ever seen in my life, but it wasn't that bad either. It was quite funny.
I mean, that's the kind of film that's obviously aimed at people who likes the first one. And
Yeah,
since I did not like the first one, I thought, well, this film is just going to make me hate the franchise even more, so I'm just going to skip it.
True. And talking about films, any films you're looking forward to at all coming out soon?
Films I'm looking forward to. I'm kind of looking forward to the new Spider-Man. Funnily enough, from what I've seen from the trailers, it's looking like it could be decent.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The first trailer looked a bit rubbish, but then the second and third trailer made it look even better, doesn't it?
No, I've forgotten the actor's name.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he could be a very good Spider-Man.
Yes.
The thing I don't like about him is I don't think he's going to make a very good Peter Parker.
Really? A lot of people reckon he might make a good Peter Parker because he's got that. He's got a bit of muscle, but he also looks geeky. He isn't too much like Tobey Maguire, who was just way too geeky for Spider-Man.
I don't think he's geeky enough. I think he's a bit too cool. Because Peter Parker is really, really not a cool guy. He is very much the specky kid at the back of the room. And then who eventually becomes this, far more interesting and soft person through this transformation, and yet still remains true to that geeky side of him. So,
but the thing is, though, because Andrew Garfield loves Spider-Man so much, and Spider-Man is his favourite all-time character, and someone who, when he was younger, dressed up as for Halloween and stuff like that, I guess it's good for him to play him because he knows what Spider-Man's like, he knows the mannerisms, that sort of thing for Spider-Man. And it's someone who loves him so much, so it's kind of like us in Andrew Garfield's shoes in a way.
Yeah, he's got the passion for the role, and he has got that kind of like geeky kid growing up into this sort of angle, and he has definitely got the sarky side of Spidey down.
Yeah,
because
totally.
as you saw in that trailer, he's just like, really? You think I'm a cop running around in a red and blue skin-tight costume? It's like it's very Spidey, that kind of attitude he's got. But from what I've seen as his Peter Parker, it doesn't quite seem like Peter Parker,
I know what you mean.
And I can't get used to the idea of Peter Parker with that kind of Edward Cullen hair. It's just a bit off, but hey. I guess that's what all the young people are wearing these days.
Indeed, and you've also got Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, interesting they're choosing Gwen Stacy as the romance interest instead of the old standby Mary Jane.
Probably because they're going more for the original comic books than maybe they might put Mary Jane in maybe in the next film, maybe the third film.
Yes, although there is no J. Jonah Jameson, which I'm very pissed off about.
Really?
Yeah, because he's a brilliant character. He's
Yes.
brilliant comedy. He's brilliant for setting up Peter Parker's whole emotions and
Hopefully he
um,
appears in the second one. Hopefully he appears in the Amazing Spider-Man 2,
yeah,
if there is ever one.
I
Sure there
can't
will
believe
be.
I've forgotten the actor's name. That's really going to annoy me now. The guy who played J. Jonah in the first film.
Can't remember his name either.
That's
Really
good.
bad.
That really annoys me because I really like him because he played Cave Johnson in Portal 2 as well.
What else has he been in?
What else has he been in? Um, I think those two are like, oh god, what is his name? That's really gonna bug me now. Oh well, let's move on.
Indeed.
Enough of me sparing over that. Anyway, from comic book films to comics themselves, I guess.
Indeed. The comic books I've read recently have been the Ninja Turtle comics, just because the Ninja Turtles are my all-time favourite franchise, and I love the fact how even though it's been bought out by Nickelodeon, they can now bring out new comic books, which they have done. Because you've got not Peter Laird, Kevin Eastman, who's now done the IDW comics. So it's like they took away one creative bit, now the other one's now doing it now. So it's quite cool.
So, what kind of plot lines are these ones following?
They're basically kind of following the original Mirage comics, but then also changing it up, kind of following the '87 cartoon where you got Krang in it, but then also doing their own storyline where the Ninja Turtles were originally all a family, which then painting their ancestors are now the Turtles, which is a bit. But they're still mutants. It's not like Michael Bay who's ruined it when making them into aliens.
We don't know who's ruined it yet. I mean, I'm very much a proponent of not judging something until I've seen it for myself. But from the sounds of it, it's not looking promising.
Not at all. That's the thing with Ninja Turtles is in their name. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The fact that Michael Bay's done it where they're going to be aliens. For example, how are they going to incorporate Splinter, a rat? How are they going to incorporate the Shredder? How are they going to incorporate knowing being ninjas, for example? Are they going to look at it on some tablet and be like, oh, let's do ninja things, and then show sports have to be trained? So it's a bit weird. So
It could still be very good. I mean, but yeah,
the only
I think
saving. Sorry.
I thought I was just going to say I think it's a bit of a dubious decision. Yeah.
I think the only saving grace they have for it, they got Kevin Eastman, who's also doing the comic books, on the role as one of the producers and helps with the writing the scripts for the Ninja Turtles film. So hopefully with him, he might be able to. That's the only plus I can guess to seeing them being as aliens. So hopefully, if they do make them aliens, for example, that hopefully with him on board, he might be able to make it.
Yeah,
Seem good,
let's
so-
just hope the producers and the director actually listen to the experienced Ninja Turtles guy on hand
Yes.
rather than just going, yeah, but we think this will make more money this way. But no, that's not what it's about. No, we want to do it this way because we think the kids won't really understand. Mutants will make them aliens. Much
Indeed.
more easy to understand.
And
It
also,
works with Transformers. Why can't it work with these guys?
indeed. And the funny thing as well, the Ninja Turtles at one point was the biggest thing in the world. So
Oh yeah,
hopefully it might happen again with
no,
the
it
new
was
film
huge.
coming out.
Nice. Yeah. Comics I've been reading. I've been reading a lot of The Runaways. You know The Runaways? It's a Marvel series of comics about 6 kids who run away from their home when they realise that all of their parents are supervillains involved in this cult called the Pride.
Ah, okay.
And it's basically just about them running away and then trying to stop their parents from doing evil nefarious dudes. Evil nefarious dudes? Evil nefarious doings, is what I was trying to say. But yeah, you've got a kid who's the son of 2 like mobster, gangster, thief type people. You've got a kid who's a mutant, who's the son of 2 mutants. A kid that's an alien, who again, son of 2 aliens. The daughter of dark wizards. A daughter of 2 time travelers, who has the daughter has the interesting power of having a pet velociraptor who has a telepathic link to her, which is a nice superpower to
That
have.
is quite cool.
And the other one is the son of 2 crazy mad scientists. And yeah, it's very much a kind of gang mentality sort of film. Nice ensemble cast. Joss Whedon actually wrote a arc for The Runaways in Volume 2 of them. It's a very nice time travel themed arc, which obviously because one of the parent sets, there's time travel involved in time.
That's
But yeah,
cool.
it's a very, very good set of comics. and definitely a good thing to get into if you want to kind of like a way to introduce yourself to the Marvel Universe,
Okay.
because it's tied into the Marvel Universe, but it's not like it's kind of separate. Because you know how in Marvel most of the big stuff happens in New York. You have the
Yes.
Avengers, Spider-Man there, Fantastic Four,
Hmm.
all the big superheroes in New York, and this is all the way in Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
other side of America.
So it's like if you read this first, it's not like you'll be confused. Where it's like you can hopefully. So is it at all incorporated with like the Avengers and
It's
Marvel?
incorporated into the
And they
Marvel
have Marvel
universe.
versus
So
stuff.
occasionally you'll see like Captain America shows up at one point, but again it's a very brief role.
Mm.
But it's the same universe with like lots of the same themes and
Oh, okay.
principles in, but it's not like you're gonna have like characters and references you won't get,
Yeah.
because it's a self-contained series with
Oh, okay.
occasional characters.
So kind of like how in Superman, it's the same universe as Batman, where they sometimes appear in each other's comics.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like the difference between Metropolis and Gotham, in that you know they're in the same world, but they're obviously quite separate in the
Yeah, totally.
themes. But yeah, other than that, I've been reading a few Avengers books recently. Um, the the British comics are way behind in story compared to what the American comics are right now.
Mm.
It's like the American comics are going through this whole X-Men versus Avengers thing,
Yeah, I've heard about that. I was going to
and
mention
the
to you
British
about
comics
that.
haven't even gotten up to Fear Itself yet, I believe, which is the arc, which is the big major event before X-Men versus Avengers. So we haven't even gotten up to that point yet. Even though I've read both Fear Itself and X-Men versus Avengers, even though that's still ongoing, haven't finished yet.
Is it
But
good
yeah,
X-Men versus the Avengers?
from what I've read so far, there's sporadic moments of very good stuff.
Mm.
Like there's some very interesting dynamics between Storm and Black Panther, who are married and are on opposite sides of the fight.
Ah,
Because
okay.
Storm's aligned herself with
The X-Men.
the X-Men. She was an Avenger very briefly, like recently, but like she obviously has far more ties with the X-Men.
Yeah,
And
of
Black
course.
Panther, obviously not being a mutant, has no ties with them, so he's with the Avengers. And there's a very, very funny moment where they encounter themselves, and Storm basically confronts Black Panther and says, "Why haven't you told me this is going to happen?" And Black Panther then says, "Well, why haven't you told me you've been harboring a mutant child that could destroy the whole world?" And then Storm just goes, "This is why we have to have marriage counselling." Just zaps him.
That's good. I like that.
But yeah, and there's a lot of good fights like that of like clash. But at the same time, the story is moving on quite slowly at this point, and it's not hugely interesting.
How many comments are those so far into it then?
I believe I'm up to issue 4, and these arcs usually go on for like 6 or 7 comics.
Okay.
So we still got yet to build up to the crescendo. But yeah, it's pretty good so far. But yeah, the comics I've been reading, the ones that are at the moment, revolve around the Infinity Gems and the Infinity Gauntlet, which is the weapon that Thanos uses, who is, the guy they tease at the end of the Avengers film.
Yeah.
And so it's basically about is it the Defenders, I think they're called? They're like an Illuminati group made up of the geniuses of the Marvel world, who basically hide and manipulate everything from the shadows. So you've got Professor Xavier, Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, Namor, the Submariner, an alien dude who I can't remember, who's now dead.
Not MODOK, isn't it? Not MODOK?
No, not MODOK. MODOK's very much a villain.
Ah, okay.
And
so they're all good guys then.
they're all good guys, but they're all hiding off in the shadows. And Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah.
And they basically all took one Infinity Gem and hid it away. And it's about this eccentric billionaire who eventually finds the dead alien's Infinity Gem and then goes around trying to collect everyone else's.
What's the Infinity Gem? I think I've heard of the
Infinity Gem. There are 6 gems that make up the Infinity Gauntlet, and those gems have power over things like time, space, reality, power, mind, and the soul.
Ah, okay.
And when all put together, make the Gauntlet, which basically gives you infinite power, and basically lets you have control over creation and reality and everything itself. So Thanos is a bit of a badass in that way because he pretty much controls that the best. But yeah, it's about this guy who then tries to get all the gems, and then the Avengers find out about Iron Man's little secret society, and Cap's not happy about that.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, it's some good interplay with that, and pretty interesting. It's only a short little set of issues. It's only like 2 issues long.
Mm.
Actually, I think it might be 4, but like the way English comics works. We only have the 2 issues.
Yeah.
Because we put lump like 2 comics into 1 issue
Ah, okay, that's quite good.
for like £3. You can usually pick them up from corner shop. Like I pick mine up from the corner shop down my street. But yeah, it's a good little story and introduces the Red Hulk into the Avengers.
Oh, the Red Hulk, that's quite cool.
Yeah,
never seen much of the Red Hulk. I know
you
more
know,
of the grey and the green one.
in the I can't remember. I think it's the Edward Norton Hulk film where you've got that general guy who's going after the Hulk.
Yeah.
It's him.
Okay.
The Red Hulk is him. Basically, what happens is
Oh,
eventually
so Betty's dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eventually, he gets exposed to like gamma radiation as well, and becomes a Hulk, and has become the monster that he very sought to destroy.
Yes.
So there's that very interesting dynamic, and Red Hulk is stronger than the Hulk physically, and also has a strange power where like the angrier he gets, he sets on fire. Like he has fire powers for seemingly no reason. But unlike the Hulk, he's not like mindless and rage controlled. He actually retains his own mind.
Like in the same sense as the Grey Hulk still retains his mind, he can still talk
Yeah.
and think.
But he's not got that power where like the Hulk just gets ridiculously stronger the angrier he gets. He's kind of got that, but not to that ridiculous level the Hulk has. But yeah, it's good comics. I'd recommend them.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I think that just about does it for this week's episode, don't you?
Yeah, definitely, man. That's another episode of GEEKAMANIA. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe and leave comments on our video, and take care, and good night.
Thanks.